Hello, I'm Wayne Visser and I'm Director of CSR International, and I'm here today with Jacylyn Shi, who is a CSR consultant and academic here in Shanghai, and she's the founder of Women in Sustainability Action. Welcome, Jacylyn.
Thank you.
Do you want to start by just telling us your impressions of CSR and sustainability in China?
Basically, I wouldn't divide the origins actually of CSR issues. What I would say, which is different from Western societies about CSR development in China, could be deeply related to the social issues going on in this society. Basically, there are several features, and first of all is the increasing social inequality with the enlarging gap between the rural and the poor, especially more social conflict during the urbanization process. This could be concentrating in the labor issues, in the working issues, and also in the healthcare and pension issues, and which actually pose quite a number of concerns to business development as well. On the other hand, China uniquely has a very prominent problem with environmental pollution. Just despite the climate change, the big topic issue, and trying to focus on the business operation, its impact on environment, the result actually is stunning. Just look at the figures about the 10 worst polluting cities in the world every year, and China always topped the first three, apart from the number of cities including the list. Recently, the government and the businesses have taken certain measures in improving the situation. That could come back to relate to how CSR could play a role in it. In the Western model, we categorize CSR as on top of the legal requirements, and it's more focusing on the ethical part. However, if you look at the legal circumstances in China, you wouldn't argue that China has already very complete and even high standard environmental and labor laws in place. The fundamental problems arising from the society and this culture is their weak enforcement, originally from the lack of respect towards rules, which many people argue it could originate from the culture or philosophical thoughts from the Confucius time. But some other people also focus on the ethical part those philosophies trying to focus on. So the interesting part could be looking really more deeply about how the traditional conventional wisdom could actually help the modern businessmen to think about their social responsibility.
Okay, now you're doing some work on the role of women in sustainability in China. Can you say a bit more about that?
Basically, when we talk about sustainability, in a sense, we are trying to enlarge the modern production and consumption model from the pure economic concentration towards more social and environmentally balanced manner. And that's actually is quite a feminine part of the development. By focusing on the role of women, while at the same time not actually advocating for any meaning of feminism, is trying to encourage women to apply their special influence in this society. Women plays a very special role, such as a pivoting role as, for example, influencing their family members by influencing the way the key contributor to this economy, for example, their husbands, and the major task is to raise kids, and the lifestyle, the mentality towards the relationship between individuals and society, and whether they should adopt a more balanced lifestyle, or should they actually try to seek a kind of success in this competitive world in a material way, actually plays a fundamental for the development of this concept. So I think women does have a role, very special role in this progress.
Now, when we talk about CSR in China, many people are saying there's been a lot of change in the last 2 years even. How would you characterize CSR? What does it mean in China?
Well, I do agree that there has been change in this field from, for example, 3 or 4 years ago, when people categorized as the CSR zero in China. But if you really look at the way, the approaches that the business do CSR, you wouldn't say there has been fundamental changes, because a large proportion of the CSR report try to picture on their charity donations, philanthropic ways. Many people haven't really come to the stage to understand the real methodology and the philosophical thoughts behind CSR. And of course, given the numbers of CSR reports, you could see there has been great changes from maybe 10 reports like 4 years ago. Now you have over almost 500 reports. Just what the quality of the CSR programs is way to see. And we have some evaluations about those reports. The major category still falls in what we just said, the charitable behaviors. Whether they find ways to link with their core business, or whether they realize the importance of mitigate the social and environmental impacts from their major business line, and that's really should play the key role. And another change that people think CSR is booming in China is because every year there are hundreds, even close to thousands of awarding schemes, and maybe one company can get over 10 certain kinds of CSR awards on top of their other business management awarding. So this could give people the impression that CSR is booming in China. But another thing I really want to point out is that the CSR issues in the supply chain still remain the biggest arguable area, which really is the issue that the business should deal with in the current situation.
There's also a lot of talk about China's environmental impact, and I know you're doing some work on environmental risk. Can you say a little bit about your insight into the environmental issues in China?
Well, the environmental issues, actually, you do have the global context and you do have the domestic context. From the first one, admittedly, China has becoming the world factory, and especially the low-end product manufacturing in China. The most polluted industries actually contribute to even 75% of the GDP. And that's the global context, and that's placed China into this bottom of the value chain, and that's really applied its resources and cheap labor to actually get hold in this global market. But domestic context is also corresponding to contributing to a worsened environment in China. The number one issue is about this administrative structure. For example, environmental protection offices, basically, they have no authority in view of the local governments. They are actually, through the administrative level, they are below the local governments. And when the tax revenue system and evaluation system of the local government does not change from the central one, basically the local government could have very strong argument vis-a-vis the challenges put forward by those environmental agencies. So I would hope that in the future certain changes in this regard could really give more power to the environmental agencies, and they could also probably encourage more environmental NGOs to participate into the consultation process. But that really relates to whether the government would like to fundamentally change the administrative schedules in that regard.
Well, I hope the changes come as well. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you.